As Christians, we have to come to a pivotal point where we are giving credit back to God.
Well, was it really you guys, or was it God blessed you? God's going to keep putting these challenges, these trials in front of you until you successfully master that. And if it's all about me and what did I do, man, he's just going to test you, and he might take that away right away. Heat, pressure, and time is what builds diamonds. And you think of these things like the heat and the pressure, people don't even want to deal with that. And so they try to avoid that at all costs.
God can rescue you at times, but he can also sit with you in that life raft and really allow you to learn maybe a hard lesson so that you can help somebody else through it. The silver refiner, they have to sit there and they have to watch the silver until they can see the reflection in it.
There's a lot of people that'll just kind of sit back and, well, I'm going to have my scratch-offs. I'm going to win this. I'm going to win the lottery. You know, the 3 ways of getting rich quickly is what you win the lottery, you inherit it, or you do something illegal to get it.
Feeling stuck? You're not alone. Welcome to Crazy Unbelievable Faith, the podcast where Brian and Kersha Owen get real about identity, marriage, mental health, and faith in a noisy, disconnected world. Each episode is a breath of fresh air rooted in faith, rich in vulnerability, and filled with hope. Subscribe now and go deeper at crazyunbelievablefaith.com for behind-the-scenes access to the book, podcast, and community. Because God's plan for your life is crazier, deeper, and more beautiful than you could ever imagine.
Welcome back to another episode of Crazy Unbelievable Faith. I am your co-host, Brian Owen, alongside
Hi.
my wife, Kersha Owen. As you guys have seen us several times. For those that are tuning in and watching, welcome. Definitely do not forget to click the subscribe and follow button below this video. We'd love to have you added to our community of Crazy Unbelievable Faith followers. Thank you for that. Today, we've got a really awesome episode. I'll dub it the 3 R's, and I'm going to kind of kick it over to Kersha because this was kind of a brainchild of hers that's come out of it. So I'll kind of turn over to you today.
So I wanted to talk to you guys about the 3 R's. So we're going to talk about rescue is the first R, refine is the second, and then rejoice. And the first R, when we're talking about rescue, typically, oftentimes what happens is we find ourselves in trouble, and then our prayer life turns to God rescue us from these troubles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay, right? God will lend a helping hand if that's what he chooses to do. But oftentimes what happens is he meets us in those troubles. And that is where God is able to refine us, which is the second R. This is the biggest piece, the biggest topic that I really want to talk about, because this has the most transformational act of our character. It creates us to be more Christ-like, okay?
Well, I was going to, before you jump into the refine, I was going to go back to rescue a little bit, because I think there's tendencies that we all have in life where we're waiting on something. And I think that saying of God can't steer a parked car.
Are you speaking from experience here, Brian?
Total experience on this.
Okay.
But yeah, I was mentored one time.
One time. Oh, wow.
I've got several.
This is intense.
Several of these stories.
Okay.
But
that one time.
They literally set me down, and I remember Gator specifically said to me, "Brian, it's like you're just revving your engine, but you're in neutral, and you're not going anywhere." And but really, what it was I was kind of waiting, thinking, kind of like the job world teaches you, or education teaches you, of just like, go get all this information, and then over time you'll just become successful. It's just going to happen.
So you're telling me you had information constipation?
I had information constipation. Yes,
okay.
Information paralysis, whatever you want to call it. But I think that a lot of people wait for that rescue. They think that something else is going to come, and the reality is it's not coming. You have to make that happen, I feel like.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of people that'll just kind of sit back and, well, you know, I'm going to have my scratch-offs. I'm going to win this. I'm going to win the lottery. You know, the 3 ways of getting rich quickly is what you win the lottery, you inherit it, or you do something illegal to get it. And I think a lot of those people just kind of sit back and they think, gosh, somebody's going to save me. Or I've prayed about this and it didn't happen. And I think that is where again, that's just as you're saying this, like the rescue piece, people just can sit in that, and it can like totally give them information paralysis. So, I don't know.
And we've been guilty of this, so we can only
Yeah.
speak from experience. Actually, just this spring, we were doing that, okay, God, if that's what you want,
Yeah.
then you'll make it happen and it'll be a miracle. And, he does ask crazy things because he does want to show off his miracle, right? He wants a front row seat in your life. But he also really wants to be the center of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important for you to know, right? But I think as followers, as Christians, we are just like, okay, God, I got myself into a pickle, help me out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not help me out and give me the footprints and the footsteps to get me out. It's I'm at sea here and I need you to send a helicopter and rescue me. And so that's important I think it's part of the process. I think everybody needs to go through that process and learn that God can rescue you at times, but he can also sit with you in that life raft, right? And really allow you the ability to learn maybe a hard lesson so that you can help somebody else through it, or um, help refine you in what it is that your thought processes, your actions help make you more Christ-like. And so when we get into that refining process, Malachi 3:3 talks about he will sit with you, or he will sit as the refiner and the purifier in the fire. And what that really means to really sit as for silver and gold, right? When it's being refined, what that means is that the silver refiner, the person refining that silver, they have to sit there and they have to watch the silver until they can see the reflection in it,
Mm-hmm.
till they can see their own image in it. And that's huge that God would use a verse and an analogy like that, because that's what he's doing in the life raft with you. Is he's sitting there, he's refining you until he can see his image in you. He's sitting with you in that life raft.
Yep.
And he is helping to refine you until he can see his image in you.
It's kind of like the refining thing. Like for those that aren't patient, that's gonna be challenging. I mean, the sitting until you see your own reflection in it. Yeah, I don't. Patience is not a virtue I was probably born with. I don't know. Thank you, Mom and Dad. But it's definitely something I work on. But I think the refining thing.
Let's go to
It's
patience.
okay.
Let's talk about patience, because I think that this is a major bullet point underneath refining.
Mm-hmm.
See, God says that he is patient, he is kind,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So for those of us who aren't very patient, it it's a struggle, right?
Yeah.
I have a tendency of not being very patient when I'm waiting on God. Because I'm like, God, you can make this happen now. Why not right now? Why haven't you done it already? Why are you making me sit here? What do you want me to learn from this? And then there are people who have like no patience at all, and they pray about a word
Yeah. Guilty
for
of
a
that.
year,
Yeah.
without talking about that with their spouse. And so, in order for God to give you patience, right? If you're praying for the word patience, which
You'd be tested.
you're going to be tested,
Yep.
and he's going to take you through trials and like through things in life, through life circumstances that will cause you to become more patient.
Mhm.
So, a word to the wise, talk with your spouse about a word you're going to pray for
Yeah. That's always something people will do at the beginning of the year or the end of the year as it's wrapping up. It's like, I want to pray first. Some people want a word for the year or a phrase for the year.
Yes, but seek mentorship from your spouse first before you do this.
That's true. And I was reading a book, and he actually talks about patience, that the author was not patient at all. And he said, I could run barefoot across Legos quicker than people are moving right now. And it's just a very funny, like, visual analogy that popped into my head. I'm like, yeah, Legos. Yeah, we have kids. Like, I've stepped on Legos before. It's painful, but you have to have that patience piece. Is that's something I think that we work on until the end of time. I don't think there's she's laughing at me, but it's like, it's definitely something that is never,
I just have a much
ending.
different analogy.
Oh,
God's driving the car at 1 mile an hour, and the person that is praying for patience is sitting in the back seat. And then the people that have access to that person's life, right? Like, I live with him. Okay. So he's in the back seat, and I am being strung along behind the car, trying to run at the pace of God and Brian learning. But then there are times where I'm like, babe, seriously? Like, if you would just learn this lesson, we could move on from this word a lot quicker.
Why does it have to be my fault? Like,
you were the one praying for patience.
Okay. That's right. Yeah.
Right?
You got it. You got me.
So,
on that one.
What are some other words you shouldn't specifically pray for?
I'm not going to speak them out, so we're just going to leave that alone.
We've learned some hard lessons through this. So now, before we start, and we're just joking here, obviously, if God lays a word on your heart, you should pray for that.
I think if there's words that get laid on your heart, they're there for a reason. The Holy Spirit is speaking to you, in our opinion, is speaking to you. And it's something that you just need to focus on. Maybe it's thinking of red, yellow, green lights. Maybe it's a yellow light. Maybe it's just something you need to kind of concentrate on and focus on. Maybe it is a red light. And there's tendencies. I know I have these tendencies of blowing through red lights.
Maybe there's no light and there's a blockade, and he wants you to repel from the other side.
Could be.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've learned
over,
those lessons
through,
too.
Under, around, however it takes to get there. Yeah. So your third R.
So my
rejoice.
Third R is rejoice. God wants to rejoice with you. Okay. So after you've asked for him to rescue you, and he's refined you, and done the process that he wants, in whatever circumstance you're in, God wants you to rejoice with him. And to give that glory back to him. It is really, I think it's very human-like for us to say, look what I did. Yes, I prayed for this. Yes, God gave this to me, but look what I have. Look what I did. Rather than giving that glory back to God and rejoicing with him, and giving him credit for all that you have is, I would say that is a really big thing that I think all of us as Christians have to, we have to come to a pivotal point where we are giving credit back to God.
I think there's a really good story that goes along with that. You and I had a conversation with my parents, and we were talking about the success that they had in their life. And, we've all been believers and grown up around the church, and very thankful for the upbringing that I had. But we were having this conversation over a dinner.
They had prayed for farmland.
Yeah, they prayed for farmland. They just, success in life. And my dad was specifically saying, I had a really good year in my sales job, and, all these things kind of fell in line, and we were able to do this. And that was kind of where Kersha and I were like, well, was it really you guys, or was it God blessed you? Mm-hmm. And it kind of, obviously it's your parents.
Light bulb.
Yeah, light bulb moment. It's your parents that are mentors. And
it was the emoji of the head exploding. His head exploded. Yeah. He had never looked at it from the other side.
I like how you try to be the funny person. This is really good.
It's fine.
He's trying.
It's okay.
This is good. Oh,
I'm actually pretty good at it.
But I think it was the light bulb moment for him of like, wow, yeah, that's. And I think there's tendencies when people are successful in their careers that there's the ego and the pride and the look at me mentality that has to kind of be checked at the door. And I think back to the kind of the word patience, like God's going to keep putting these challenges, these trials in front of you until you successfully master that. And if it's all about me and what did I do, man, he's just going to test you, and he might take that away right away. Because we always hear the saying that like instant, quick success overnight can quickly be taken away too. And it's like, you see all these Instagram people and famous, TikTok people that it's like overnight successes. Some of them maybe are, but a lot of them, you didn't see the 8, 9, 10, 15 years prior to that, what they failed and attempted and failed again. I mean, we have failed at a lot of things. I have failed a lot of times, and it's just, we just keep getting up and walking forward. But one area I think we have really, we've honed ourselves in on is that it's not our doing. It's God's will. It's God has blessed us. He's given us these opportunities, and we hear these things like, God will say, I'll prepare this, or God will, I've got you on this. And that's much easier said than done to walk that out.
Yeah.
But I think that rescue, or the rejoice part, the rejoicing in that, is that there's tendencies that we sometimes still focus that inwardly instead of it being outward and given to him.
Yeah. You rejoice for the success that you now have found, or maybe it's not even a success, like just getting to the other side of that trial, and you start to rejoice. But God wants to hold your hand in all of it. He wants to be there with you before you even get to the life raft portion of your life, where you're like, okay, God, I need you to help me out of here. And I just think that it's really important that everybody look at their relationship with God as he's sitting right here, and he's next to us in everything that we do. And so, if you have that mental mindset, it can keep us from getting to that I need you to rescue me phase of life, and just walk and hold hands with him and allow him to refine you at a pace he knows you're ready for, rather than dragging your feet, or trying to be Fred Flintstone in the car next to him because you're not ready to do it, but God is ready for you to do it. I just think it's really important that we give all of that glory back to him too.
Yeah. I think you should have probably dubbed this episode the 4 R's, because you just said rescue, refine, rejoice, and now you're talking about relationships. That's okay though. We won't hold it against her.
It's okay.
But we'll stick with the 3 R's. But I do piggyback off of the relationship side and the rejoicing. When you think about some teaching that we just recently heard about, was building respect with people, to then build a relationship with them, to then be able to open a door to multiple, having that relationship built and a foundation established.
You have to have respect.
Yeah.
And a relationship to build rapport.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people sometimes will spearhead that. Look at me, I'm so good. They don't give credit to anybody else. It's all because of them. And they just kind of bulldoze something of, we're just, we're going to be friends just because of this. And the reality is, it's like, if there was no respect built on the front end, you're building a relationship on sand, and it'll just quickly fall apart, versus it being built on solid rock and a foundation. So again, there's so many countless
That's
friendships.
biblical.
Yeah, there you go.
Build your house on the rock.
That is correct. Yeah.
Instead of on, God is your firm foundation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so build your life upon it.
And I think if others are struggling, we'll have information.
Well, that's like the 5 R's now.
Yes,
rock.
We're adding more. But if you're seeking information about the book Kersha's working on, Crazy Unbelievable Faith, if you're seeking, what was the Bible verse again? It was Malachi.
Malachi 3:3.
Malachi 3:3. We will link that below this as well. But if questions about it, there's churches in your local area, there's friends that you can come, contact. I think the relationship side of it too is, you look at that network of people. Like, I got questions. I want to unpack this with somebody. I want to be rejoiceful. I want to have somebody rescue in my life. If you're thinking about those things, definitely reach out. I would encourage people, reach out and just start a conversation. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. Words don't hurt anybody. Well, words can't hurt people, I guess, if they're used inappropriately. But it's just opening that door to allow people. I think it's like permission-based leadership.
Mhm.
You know, if you don't ask, like, you know, you don't want to just be I'm just going to tell you just because. If I'm asking, then somebody can give me feedback on that.
Right. Don't be afraid to ask the question because you don't want to look uninformed, I
Yeah.
think is what Brian's getting to.
Yeah. Most would rather be uninformed
Then look
than
uninformed.
look uninformed by asking the silly questions, or so they think they're silly, and they're really not. So.
I don't think any question is silly. I think we're all learning. We're all,
This is recorded. She just said no question is silly. So when I ask something and she says that to me, I'll be able to use this against her.
uh-oh. I don't think any question is silly. And I think it is important for all of us to come with a mindset of what can I learn? Where can I grow?
Yeah.
What are my blind spots? How can I shine light into the darker areas of me? And maybe your relationships, maybe your relationship with God, in your friendships, in your home. How can you be a light rather than a lampshade?
Yeah.
Where it obviously it shines the light other places.
Yeah, don't cover it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the refining piece to that point too, it can be hard. It can be painful. The refining, it's kind of like heat, pressure, and time is what builds diamonds. And you think of these things like the heat and the pressure, people don't even want to deal with that. And so they try to avoid that at all costs.
Well, they're impatient in that process.
Yeah. Patience again. No, but I think
maybe we should have named this patience in the 3 R's.
The refining though, is that, you know, it's kind of that other biblical principle of iron sharpening iron. You know, getting around those people that you can ask the tough questions to, but know that it could be reciprocated and be open to that, you know, when iron sharpens irons, there's sparks. And so there might be a little bit of a rift back and forth to a degree, but just coming at it with the right heart, the right mindset, and the right perspective. Because Kersha has a different perspective when I just say the word success. Her perspective and my perspective may not be the same thing, just like anyone watching or listening. So,
do you want to know what my perspective of success is?
Please tell us, please.
There's no suck before the success.
That is true. Yes, that is very true. So
it's like there's no test before the testimony.
That is correct. Yes.
Or there is suck before the success. There is test before the testimony.
Yeah. You got it right.
Yeah.
You got it right. I'm sorry. It's okay.
It's fine. Whatever.
Well,
anyways, you're going to go through the trials.
That's right.
Before you want to go through the trials before you get to that level of success.
Yeah.
Because if not, it may not be built necessarily on a solid, firm foundation, and it could crumble easier.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to wish that on.
Yeah, not in a scary way. I'm just meaning that life challenges are going to come up.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's better to be rooted in that network to be able to plug into, to kind of lock arms with. So,
yep.
And
absolutely.
that is part of our community. That is, as we're building this crazy, unbelievable faith community, we hope that you'll join us. Anything else in closing?
Nope.
Until next time.
Click the subscribe button.
Click the subscribe button and follow us. And any information, questions, or comments, you can always email those to us as well.
Yeah.
Until next time, we'll see you guys. Have a wonderful day. Thank you again for watching.
Bye.